From the beginning of time, man has always had a pursuit of the best quality of life possible. That quality of life is not possible without resources. The form of resources we have accumulated has changed over time from cowrie shells, state-controlled money, precious metals, real estate, and stocks and bonds. Over the past 100 years, the world has been dominated by the US dollar and its reserves. But everything that has a beginning also has an end. A new financial revolution is upon us with the emergence of a digital economy. The way we earn, spend, and accumulate resources is fundamentally changing. A new asset has appeared that the wealthy have overlooked. Bitcoin has become the best performing asset of the past decade by far. With only 21 million ever in existence, there are more millionaires and billionaires in the world today than there are Bitcoin. Just by holding 0.25 Bitcoin today, will put you in the top 1% asset holders in the world in the next 5 to 10 years. If you would have invested $100,000 in Bitcoin in 2013, today it will be worth more than $15 million. Bitcoin billionaire Raoul Pal says, Bitcoin's performance is so dominant and so all-encompassing that it is going to suck in every single asset narrative dry and spit it out. Never before in my career have I seen a trade so dominant that holding any other assets makes almost no sense. This is not an industry you can afford to ignore. If you want to remain in business, then you must adapt. Are you offering services in Bitcoin? Are you accepting payments with digital currencies? Have you adopted blockchain technology? Blockbuster Video at one point was the most dominant video service in the world. They had the opportunity to be part of Netflix, but they ignored the changing technology. Where is Blockbuster today? Where will you be tomorrow? All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to special late night kind of a crypto talk. But this is going to be a personal development talk. This is Bitcoin Brandon from Los Angeles, California. Go ahead and type in the chat box where you're listening in from. As a disclaimer, I'm not a licensed financial advisor to be giving financial advice. I read the news, give my opinion, share a suggestion, and it is up to you to make an informed, intelligent decision on which direction you want to move into. Now, this is going to be special. The last couple of Saturdays, I have been covering different topics in the personal development space. And you think, what does that have to do with crypto? Well, if you're in crypto because your goal is that you want to make more money, you want to be able to have a better lifestyle, then just because you're in crypto does not guarantee that that's going to happen. You still need to have the right mindset. This still needs to happen. And if you're not working on this, harder than you're working on this is not going to happen. I'll give you an example. Do you realize that more than 70% of people who win the lottery go broke within 7 to 10 years? I was just reading a story about that one woman down in Atlanta who won $180 million lotto ticket. She was a single mother, 4 kids, working 2 jobs. One of her kids was special needs, so she had to quit her jobs just to be able to take care of him. And the entire community would tell you that there was no one more deserving than her to get that money. It was a blessing from God. And the first thing she did say is once she won the money, she said, when they asked what you're going to do with it, she said, 10%, I'm tithing. I'm giving the first 10% away because it was a blessing and I want to help and bless others. That blessing turned into a curse. Her winning the lottery turned into a nightmare because she had no idea how to handle and manage it. And bad decision after bad decision after bad decision. And now she's almost broke. 7, 8 years later now, I think it was when she won that. And you can go online right now, and I think there was even a TV show series about lottery winners that time and time again, they will tell you winning the lottery was the worst thing that could happen to them. And you guys might sit there and say, are you kidding me? Winning the lottery will be the best thing. If I'm going to have problems, I'd rather have problems with money in the bank, right? But if you never learn the skills necessary to accumulate that type of money, you definitely don't know and have the skills to keep it. So if you're dumped with all that money out of nowhere and your cup is only so big, you can't capture all of that flood. It is going to overflow and it will go all the way back down to where your current cup is, meaning your personal development and growth level is, your mindset, how you think about things, how you view the world, how you see money and understand it. Same thing with basketball players and football players, hockey players, baseball players that get these huge, big contracts. Get these big contracts, and within 5 to 10 years of leaving pro, they're broke. They're broke. And you may ask, what happened? How did they lose all that money? They lacked the discipline and personal development necessary to know what to do with it. They were not good custodians of the money. The universe works in certain set of laws. And if you're not prepared to handle it, there's no way you can keep it. Same thing happens in crypto, which is why I say those who refuse to get crypto education at some point will lose most, if not all, of their crypto holdings within 3 to 5 years. Isn't that interesting? Most. I didn't say all. There's always an exception to the rule. But most. Which is why financial literacy is so important. It is everything. And financial literacy is not taught in school. It's not even taught in college. Financial literacy is taught a couple of ways: by experience and mentors. Somebody that teaches you, shows you the ropes, and then you going out there and doing it and kind of figuring things out. But it's not a course in elementary, middle school, high school. They don't teach you financial literacy. I know people who make a lot of money but are broke. If you make $250,000 a year, you might think that that person is set, right? But what if they're living a $300,000 a year lifestyle? Well, they're $50,000 a year in debt. Just a higher level of broke. If you're earning $1 million a year, but you're spending 1.1 million a year, you're broke. You're living in debt. So it all starts with mindset. It all starts with mindset. And we covered a couple of things the last couple of weeks, but today we're going to talk about your why. Your why. Your why is like the fuel in your vehicle that gets you going. It's the fuel. And it has unlimited fuel. It's the fuel that can't be taken away, can't be drained. And it is also one of the most difficult things for people to understand. You know, when it comes to knowledge and understanding, there's 4 levels to this. There is the unconscious, unknowing. And that level is where you don't even know that you don't know nothing. Then you have the conscious knowing, where you're now aware that you don't know nothing. All right. It's like you've been exposed. You walked into a room and they turned on the lights. You're aware that you don't know anything. That's where the decision is made. I want to know. I want to learn about stuff now. Then you get to conscious knowing. You're now aware that you're starting to learn stuff. And then you have the unconscious knowing. You're not even aware that you're doing certain things in a positive way. It just comes natural at that point. People in that state, when other people, outsiders, look at it, they think that that individual is lucky. Man, how come that person always has good luck? It's like they're not even trying. They just, great things always happen to them. They're always at the right place at the right time. You ever seen people like that? It's an unconscious knowing. Don't even sweat it. They expect it. Maybe it was 2 years ago or a year ago, where I was trying to explain this to my assistant, my cousin Marnita. And the best way for her to see it was to actually see it. And so she witnessed me do this process a couple of times. And it blew her mind. I'll let her, on her own time, share those stories where I allowed her to be a fly on the wall with me. And she witnessed things happening that I got to be careful how I put this. I want to use the word manifested, but when it happened, it wasn't a surprise to me because I expected it. But to her, she was like, "What? Wait, what?" It's the unconscious knowing. So, what is our fuel when we get started? I want you to think of the word choice from The Matrix. If anybody's watched The Matrix, and what does Agent Smith and Morpheus always seem to be trying to teach Neo was like, choice. Do I take the red pill? Do I take the blue pill? Does it matter which I take? Choice. Some will say choice is nothing but an illusion given by those who have real power. That it doesn't matter which direction you go, you're still going in the way they want you to go, but you think you have choice. See, the architect in the Matrix said the reason why the very first Matrix that was a paradise failed was because it was too perfect. People were looking for the chaos, for the choice of being bad. It doesn't mean everybody wants to be bad, but they at least want to have the choice to do bad. Choice. So you can choose to learn more. You can choose not to. First, you need to be aware of it. And then you need to figure out for you, what is motivating you? What is moving you? Why do you do what you do? And let's start small. Why do you go to work every day? And you ask that to an average person, and the answer is going to be,
Because I got to pay bills. Why? Why do you have to pay bills? Well, duh. I mean, I need to have a roof over my head. I gotta buy clothes for my kids. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere. So you're choosing to go to work, a place that most people do not like. Again, I can't say all, most. I mean, what motivates a person to get up before the sun comes up, to rush off to rush hour traffic, to go to a job you don't like, to work with people you can't stand, to eat lunch at 12 when you're hungry at 11, to go to the bathroom or ask to go to the bathroom as if you are a child with 1 or 2 breaks and a 30-minute lunch, to get off work at 5, drive in rush hour traffic, only to come home with only a few hours left for yourself and your family, and you choose to do this for the next 40 years of your life, knowing that the federal government says that 97% of all Americans will retire broke, depending on family, government, and friends. You already know the end game, yet you still choose to do it. And some will say it's not a choice. I have to do it. No. It's still a choice. It's a matter of, do you accept the consequences if you don't? Because if I don't get up and do all those things that I don't like, I'm not going to be able to get the paycheck that pays my bills. Are you following me so far? So you might say, my why is because I got to get paid so I can pay my bills. But what is paying your bills taking care of? Your family, your lifestyle, your kids. Okay, now we're getting a little bit deeper. So you're getting up early in the morning to a job you don't like for your family, not for the paycheck. It's for the family. Why? What does the family need? Survival? Are we put on this earth just to survive? To be able to provide and take care of the family? Okay. What about you? What makes you happy? You know, the other night we talked about that exercise you can do before you fall asleep. And I'm gonna bring that up again at the end. So you're doing it for your family. Why? Well, isn't that obvious? I want to take care of my family. It's a human instinct. You know, I got to take care of my children. That is unquestionable. That is undeniable. Some would say that's not even a choice, but it is. Is everybody a good parent? Every parent? Is every parent taking care of their children like they're supposed to? Mm-mm. So maybe that's not even good enough. So you have to first figure out what is moving you. What is your why? Why did you choose to get into crypto? Because you saw other people getting rich? And you said, you want to get rich? Why do you want to be rich? I don't know. Well, what money can do for me? Yeah, then why is it that 70% of lottery winners go broke and say that they wish they never won the lottery? I'm not making this up. This is documented. So it's not the money. It's more of the feeling that it gives you. It took me more than 10 years to figure out and fully understand my why. And then it took me, after I figured out my why, it took me another 3 years before I achieved it. And it wasn't having millions of dollars in the bank. It was to get to a certain feeling that I was looking for, and I didn't know it. And for me, it was freedom. Freedom. I'm not talking about my why was my children. You know, when I was in network marketing, they used to say, the old gurus, your why needs to be strong enough that it makes you cry. Think of your children. Really? If that was true, then every parent in the world would be rich right now. Because if that was the motivating factor, then every parent would always, every waking moment, be thinking about doing something that's going to put a gang of money in the bank account for their children. That's not the case. It doesn't hurt bad enough. So we stick to the rat race, stick to the flow. Brent, what do you mean it doesn't hurt bad enough? You know, there's an old story about kids on their way home, and they pass this farm every day, and there's an old man on the porch, and he's got this old hound dog laying next to him, and that dog is whining and crying and moaning and howling every time they walk past. And then one day they go to the hey, Farmer Joe, you know what? What's up with your dog? Why is that dog always moaning and howling? And the farmer says, because he's laying on a nail. Huh. Why doesn't he get up off that nail, move 2 inches to the left, and then lay down where there's no nail? And the farmer says, because it doesn't hurt bad enough. You know when you start to have real change in your life? Short-term change. When something starts to hurt bad enough that you become sick and tired of being sick and tired. And then all of a sudden you find yourself getting this new energy, this new strength that you didn't have before, this new motivation that gets you going. There's a lot of different emotions range that make this happen. And some of these emotions give you short-term results, and then you have long-term results. The easiest emotion to react to in your why is anger. Anger. Did you guys know that? Anger forces you or motivates you to take some action. When you get angry about something, you get a quick adrenaline rush. That's why you see a lot of times entrepreneurs, sometimes they say, you know, the greatest revenge is massive success. And this has happened to me a lot in my history. It's also happening to me right now, where I can get angry, and just to prove somebody wrong, I put in extra effort than I normally would. I'm motivated. Why am I motivated there? Because I'm angry about something and I can't wait to prove something to somebody or some people. So I figured out how to take that anger and channel it into being productive. Where I might, turn it in for the night, watch TV, but then I remember that I'm pissed off and angry, and I get in front of my computer and I'm ready to go to work. That's happened to me before. Anger, fear, two immediate emotional reactions that contribute to your why of you doing something out of normal circumstances. Anger, fear is like Star Wars, the light side and the dark side. If you understand the reference between the Force. Now, the light side is the more noble side. The light side is more benevolent. The light side is supposed to be more long-lasting. But it's also the most difficult path to take because it's easier to be angry. It's easier to be fearful. It's easier to give in to those emotions than to fight it. That's where the Sith come in, the dark side. So if you can channel even those emotions and understand why are you angry? Why are you fearful? What are you going to do about it? Then you have love. Love is a very, very strong emotion. Most people don't love what they're doing, but they love the result that it provides. I'm doing this so I can feed my babies. I'm doing this so that I don't live on the street. I'm doing this so that blah, 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 blah. But that is not enough that is going to take you to say, but you can do better without settling. And you get into old habits of, I'm doing just good enough. My mom recognized something in me early on, that not so much lazy, but path of least resistance. When was it? My freshman year in high school, I figured out how to do just enough work in school to make honor roll to keep my parents off my back, but still enough that I can goof off and be a clown because I didn't want to put in all the work. I figured out that balance out. And my mom was the first to figure that out. And then the psychiatrist was like, you know, it takes more effort for you to do it this way than if you just reached your potential. It takes real effort to do what you're doing. So what is your why? What is your core that is going to motivate you? Because I got to tell you right now, it is not your children. That doesn't mean you don't love your children. You do. And you would do anything for them. But we're going beyond survival here. What is your passion? What's your passion? You know, human instinct is to take care of our kids. Okay. So we got to eliminate that. But really, as humans, we're selfish creatures too. We like to do things that please ourselves, please us. So you want to, what's the word I want to use for that? Take advantage of that. Tap into that. What do you love to do? What would you love to do? What would be your passion? So, you know, when they say that somebody who works a 9-to-5 job, their greatest fear is getting laid off or losing their job. But an entrepreneur's greatest fear is having to go back and get a job. That's one of my greatest fears, having to go back to get a job. Why? Well, when I walked off my job for the first time, the only time, 2012, July 13th, it will be 10 years in a couple of weeks. 10 years and 3.5 weeks, I celebrate what I call freedom, breaking the chains, where I no longer had to get up at 5 in the morning and get ready to go to work. I didn't have to drive in rush hour traffic. I didn't have to go to a job where I worked with a bunch of clowns. I didn't have to put in 8 to 10 hours a day only to get peanuts in my paycheck, which was still not enough. Have to put up with listening to my superiors and the managers telling me what to do and how to do it, or what I'm not doing right, and all that other BS. The ability, when I woke up on that first Monday, and by habit, my body automatically woke up at 5 a.m. And then I realized I didn't have to get out of bed, and I just went right back to sleep. That was the sweetest feeling in the world. When you realize, okay, all of my bills are paid. I remember that first time. All of my bills were paid, and I had an extra $4,000 in the bank. That's before I walked off my job. I remember that feeling. I was like, whoa. I'm not used to that. Having extra money, not $400, but $4,000 after all my bills are paid. Whoa. What does that feel like? And then getting to the point, all your bills are paid, you have more than $10,000 in the bank. Whoa. All your bills are paid, you have $100,000 in the bank. I remember taking a week-long vacation on a cruise, coming back and having more money in the bank than before I left, and I didn't work at all. We had no Wi-Fi signal. We were island hopping in the Mediterranean, and come back home after all the money I spent on the vacation, had more money in the bank than before I left. That is a great feeling, having a credit score of over 800. That feeling is addictive. I don't ever want to go back. So my why is maintaining that. It is not a dollar figure. I want to make $50 million. No. I want the feeling of freedom, and I want to maintain that freedom. That's my why. It used to be, I'm doing it for the kids. No, I put up with a bunch of bullshit for the kids. I wasn't thriving for them. Do you understand the difference? I was willing to do deplorable things to feed my family, but I wasn't thriving. That took another decision, which meant the willingness to learn something new, the willingness to take a chance, the willingness to step out on what some may call faith and go for it. Why? Your children, that's not the why, because if it was, you would already been doing it. It's got to be something else. And I can't tell you what your why is. And not everybody's why is the same. Only you can figure out for yourself what that why is. Now, I can help you try to figure it out. There's some things that you can do that you can figure this out, because most people never even think about this. You see, we have been programmed from birth to operate a certain way. It only takes 21 days for something to be a habit, but what happens if you've been doing something for 21 years, from birth to 21 years old? The legal age of drinking. What have we been programmed to do? Elementary school, we've got certain hours because our parents drop us, or preschool parents drop us off at daycare while they go to work. And in daycare, we've got our learning time, we've got our play time, we've got our lunch time, we got our nap time. We go to elementary school, almost the same exact scenario. We get to middle school, same thing. We get to high school. We have classes in the morning. We have a lunch break, maybe a break in the afternoon. Only thing about high school is you don't have recess anymore where you can go play. And then when we graduate from high school, even college, sort of the same. And then when you finish college, if you do, and you get into the workforce, whoa, what are we still doing? Getting up at the same time in the morning, going to an office instead of a classroom, performing duties all day till we take a break, till we take lunch, and come home. We have the same schedule as our children, and we're teaching our children to do the same thing. That's all we know. So that's what we're used to. So it's not even a why, it's habit. It's habitual. And the challenge comes when you challenge those habits to create a new habit. But to challenge the habit, you have to have a why that's strong enough to break your current habitual lifestyle. Like that dog laying on a nail. To be able to get up off that nail and move. Are you sick and tired of being sick and tired? Because if you're not, then you're not going to move. You wish for better things. You hope for better things. There is no such thing as wish and hope, only do. Until you decide to do better things, your life will never change. And the only way you can do better is if you understand why you're doing it. One thing the Merovingian told Morpheus in the Matrix says, you know the decision, but do you know why? Now, I know the Matrix is not real, but do you know why you're doing what you're doing? Even right now, why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you listening to me? What's the end game? I did a video on YouTube called Focus on the Goal and Not the Task. Most people focus on the task and don't even know what the goal is. In their mind, the goal is make more money. That's not good enough. You got to be more specific. What is it that this more money is going to do for you? That's what you focus on. Not the act itself, but the results. What does having more money look like? What does your life look like? And once you can understand what that is, and then you got to trick yourself. How does it make you feel if you were to achieve that? How does it make you feel? Because here's what happens. It's hard to feel something you've never experienced. So if you can imagine you reaching that ultimate goal, and then you play make-believe. Children do this all the time. And you imagine that it's the real thing. How does it make you feel? That's only going to be a short-term feeling. And then once you start to get a taste of it, now your believability goes up and you want more. And you want more. And then you're like, man, if I realized this is all I had to do to get here, I would have done this 20 years ago. It's not, what's the word I want to use? It's not easy, but it is simple. Get out of debt, invest in assets, live off dividends. What does get out of debt mean? How will get out of debt make you feel? See, instead of thinking of getting out of debt, because when you do that, you're vibrating off the word debt. And you're unconsciously bringing more of it to you. The brain doesn't understand debt, assets, live off dividends. No. You got to get more picturesque. Because if you eliminate debt, you feel much lighter, don't you? Have you guys ever eliminated your debt? You feel like you got that monkey off your back and you feel like you can breathe. Then you got to think, I want to be able to breathe. I want to be able to feel relaxed. See, when people think, where does stress come from? Then you need to attack the things that is causing the stress. And if the things that's causing the stress, how does it feel once that stress is eliminated? That's what you want to focus on. Because if you're vibrating on that, then what's causing the stress cannot hit you. You're only going to be bringing to you the current feeling that you have or you want. You know, you can't think in terms of language. You got to think in terms of pictures, of images, feeling. This part of it goes a little bit more deeper, so I got to stop on that. Don't want to take you down that rabbit hole. So when you think of your why, don't think of your why in terms of because I want a new car. Why do you want a new car? What is that car going to allow you to do? Oh, well, now when I'm driving down the freeway, I don't have to worry about, the engine failing on me and I have car trouble. Really, how does it make you feel that you're driving down the street and you don't ever even have to worry about it? Oh, I feel great. That's what you should focus on. I want a new car because. I want a new house because. I want more money because. I want dividends because I can't afford. I have a person I need to take care of, so I can't work a 9-to-5 job. So if I'm living off the dividends, that means I could be home taking care of my loved one. Then that's what you need to be focusing on. It's the loved one. I know this may go over a lot of people's heads. That's why I only kind of have these type of talks once a year. And you'll know when you get your why because you get an aha moment in your head. It's like a light bulb goes off. And this is something you always have to constantly work at. And sometimes you have to remind yourself because once you have figured out what your why is, and that's where you're focused on the goal, then things will be introduced in your life as vehicles to make that happen. And then we take our eye off that goal and we start working the vehicle. We always have to keep eye on the goal because the vehicle can start to change direction. And if you're not focused on the goal, next thing you know, you're going off on a different tangent and you don't even realize it because you're still focused on the vehicle. I made this mistake several times. And I got, whoa, slap myself. The goal, Brandon, the goal. Focus on the goal. Because sometimes we have to jump ship from the vehicle to a new vehicle because we're still going towards the goal. So we've got to let things go. If anyone followed my mindset training I always do at New Year's Eve, the last couple of years, I always say one thing. I will say, yes, I have New Year's resolutions. I do my New Year's resolutions on October 1st. I always start 3 months before the new year. I'll give you guys an example. ILCA, it might have launched in January, but I began the process in September of last year. I didn't wait till January to begin the process so that when the new year came, I was sprinting into the new year, not just getting started. So one thing I used to say is that, wow, at the end of the year, I'm ended up doing something that I didn't even fathom. It wasn't even on my radar screen when the year began. I didn't even have it on my radar. And this is where I know I'm growing. Because as each year passes, I'm making sure I'm keeping my focus on the goal so I'm not upset with the vehicles, the way we're getting there. If I'm in Los Angeles and I want to get to New York, is there only one way to get to New York, or are there many different choices? I could take a plane. I could take a train. I could drive. I could walk. I could get on a bike. I could ride a horse. I could get on a skateboard. There's many different ways of getting there. There's many different routes of getting there. I can go all the way to Florida, then come up north, or all the way to Georgia, take 995 north from the 10. I can decide to go up the 15 through Vegas and then through Colorado, going to Chicago, come on down. I mean, there's many different ways of getting there. Is there one way that's better than another? Depends on the person. Someone will say, I need to get there fast, so I'm getting on a plane. Another person, like my grandparents, who used to take their camper and drive cross country, they like the scenery. So it's going to take them longer, but they're enjoying the journey. There's only a right way for you. Just because one way worked for somebody else doesn't mean it's going to work for you. Their why is their why. Your why is different. You're a different person. You have different desires. You have different feelings and emotions. I don't understand too well all of the, the signs, Cancer, Taurus, Sagittarius. I don't understand any of that and how that impact, but it does. There's an impact. Nobody's the same. We talked about personality traits last week. Shark, whale, dolphin, and urchin. So an urchin's why is different from a shark's why. So ultimately, it is up to you to figure out what is your why. And some people, when they see here, I had this talk too about people who scam other people or companies. A company can have the intent not to scam people as the intent, but they have a why of what they're doing where they're ready and willing to take risks that others shouldn't take. And they're okay with taking that risk. But are you okay with taking the risk? Should you? Each individual is different. As long as you know the choices there in front of you, then that's up to you. Nobody's dragging you into anything. As an individual, it's your choice, which also means you take responsibility, not somebody else. If you find yourself always thinking, man, it's somebody else's fault, somebody else is the reason why I'm not where I want to be. This thing happened to me in my life, so therefore I'm not where I want to be. If that's where your mind is, do you know what vibration you are actually putting out there? Obstacles. There will always be an obstacle in your way because you need an excuse for not having success. So you're telling your brain to provide excuses for you, excuses you don't even see yet. Because it makes you, this is a trip. It actually makes you feel good that you don't have to accept the personal responsibility, that you can put it off on somebody else. So sometimes you might manufacture why somebody else is to blame. You understand that? You manufactured that. You created that scenario unconsciously. But when you can start accepting blame, this is when change starts to happen. Because then you say, okay, I accept the blame for this result. What do I need to do to make sure I don't do it again? What changes needs to be made from me? Now, yeah, it might be you followed somebody and you shouldn't have. Okay, well, I'm just not going to follow that person next time. You're not blaming them. You made the choice. If I'm making any type of sense, type 1 in the chat box. If I'm not making no sense at all, type 2 in the chat box if this is going over your head. Because I got to know how deep, I can go for understanding. And I've got to remember, I've got years into this, and I'm trying to take myself back to the beginning when I was first learning about this. Personal responsibility is one of the most difficult things for a person to accept because they do not want to admit that they're actually wrong on something. So I always have a side eye. I always have a skeptical eye to anybody who refuses to take responsibility for any actions that they take. And they're always pointing the finger at somebody else. That goes in anything that I do in life. If I see that type of behavior out or characteristic out of a person, I need to excise that person away from me. You never see me involved in class action lawsuits in network marketing or the crypto space. You never see me if a deal goes bad. Oh, we got to track down the owner and do this. We got to sue somebody. Get out of here with that. You're bringing bad energy to me. I learn from it and I move on and I make different decisions. It's a waste of time. I'm not saying that at times that you shouldn't get legal recourse when it's due. That's not what I'm talking about. But I think you get the point of what I'm saying. I don't bog myself down with that stuff. There's people still, I got a message the other day from somebody that is still, I don't want to use the word butthurt, but they got to still be, it's still legitimate over something that happened 4 years ago. Have you heard any news or updates? I'm like, on what? I forgot the name of that company. Are you serious? You still thinking about that? So you have frozen yourself in time. You're still back 4 years ago. And that's where your mind still is at. You haven't moved forward since. Do you know how many opportunities and blessings and things you've missed out on because your focus is still on that? No. Brush it off your shoulder and you keep moving forward. The clock is not going to stop for you. The world will not stop turning for you no matter what happens in your life. How bad things are, that sun still rises every day. We've got to figure out how to deal with it and keep moving forward. As painful as it can be, keep moving forward. As Les Brown says, if you get knocked down, if you can look up, you can get up. You must be willing to do the things today others won't do in order to have the things tomorrow others won't have. You cannot rely on somebody else to give you a hand out, but always accept a hand up if they're willing to offer it, because that doesn't come every day either. You grab hold of those that are also on that same journey and take a buddy with you so you're not by yourself. That's why we love the ILCA community. You've got a group of people that have a goal that's bigger than where they currently are. Birds of a feather flock together. You want to surround yourself with those type of people because you can watch and live by example. But if you're surrounded by people who also complain just like you, who also have nothing but problems just like you, who are always crying that it's somebody else's fault just like you, then that's exactly where you're always going to be. You got to make a decision. What is your why? So as I end this, I'm going to end it with the exercise that you can do. And I will actually, no, I'm not going to be able to. I'll post the video in the 5-day challenge group. Focus on the goal and not the task. I don't know how long ago I did this video, maybe 8 years ago or so. But there's 2 things you can do. And the first is not a good exercise. All right. It's not, in other words, it's not a good feeling exercise, but it's a healing one. Let me put in here, focus on the goal, not the task. And the first thing is going into the bathroom, looking yourself in the mirror. Whoa, this got 85,000 views. Which one? Nighttime meditation for prosperity. My failures. That's 9 years ago I did that one. Poverty mindset. 13,000 views. All right, here it is. Focus on the goal and not the task. Andrew did the same thing. He used to be on my team, Andrew Zambetti. This is a 12-minute video I made. I'll post it in the Facebook group. But go into the bathroom, look yourself in the mirror, and look yourself in the eye. And ask yourself, do I like you? Do I like you? Asking questions. Will I hang out with you? Would I do business with you? Maybe that's the best one for this thing. Would I go into business with you? Could you show me how to make it? And you got to be honest with yourself, because if you're not honest with yourself, then all hope is lost. You can't lie to yourself. Be truthful to yourself. Then once you get to figure that out, where you currently are, then you ask yourself, what is the type of person that you would follow, that you would admire, that you would be? What qualities are you looking for in a person that you'd want to be in your circle? Then what you do, once you realize what those qualities are, now you know what to focus on for you. Then you adopt those qualities. You become that person. You work on yourself on whatever it is you need to be that person. Because once you become that person, then you're going to start to attract things to you that match up with who you just became. Some people, they are able to do this very quickly. 6 months, 3 months, 1 year. Others, it takes longer, 5 years, 10 years. Took me 10 years plus. But I started when I was 23 years old. Took me 13 years to figure it all out before I walked off my job. From deciding to become an entrepreneur to walking off my job, 13 years. And you might think that's a long time. Well, it's much better than 40 years on a 9-to-5 job. I'll take 13. And it was frustrating because I saw people around me doing it in 2 and 3 years. I see people coming to crypto in 3 months. Oh, they already made $1 million. $2 million a month, $3 million a month. Everybody's different. So you don't need to worry about all that. The focus is on you and how much you need to grow, and then understanding why. Why are you doing it? So here's the next exercise. Before you go to sleep tonight, we're going back to our why. What would you do if money was no longer an issue in your life? What does that mean? That means that all of your financial problems have been taken care of. And the first thought is, oh, well, I'm buying a new house. I'm buying my grandma a house. I'm buying new cars. I'm putting my niece and nephews through college. I'm helping my friends pay off their debt. I got another friend who has a special needs child. I'm going to help take care of that. I'm tied into the church. I'm going on vacations. I'm buying a summer home, a winter home, sitting on the beach for 6 months. Okay, after you've done all of that, and you wake up on a Monday morning a year later, and you still have more money in the bank than you spent over the past year, what will you do with your life? And then once you figured that out, how would it make you feel? How would it make you feel? Obviously, the answer is good, right? Great, right? Another way is, what would you be doing if you didn't have to go to a 9-to-5 job to do it? What's your passion? What excites you? The other night, I talked about, for a brief time, I felt that I was in my bliss. I was sitting in my home, and I was just thinking about things that we accomplished, and I'm like, all right, live in a gated community, 2-story house. My family is here taken care of. All of my bills are paid. It was the evening. The window was open. A nice breeze was coming through. I had 7 screens on at the same time, watching all the news on one, the game on another, playing video games, listening to music. Kids were asleep. Wife was in her room doing whatever. And nobody was bothering me. That was a feeling of ecstasy for me. It was peace. I'm doing what I want to do right now. You can't put a price tag on that. It didn't matter if I had 100 million in the bank or 50 million. I felt the same way. And I had to stop at that moment and make sure that I give gratitude and thanks. And I'm appreciative of it. Not worrying about something, not wishing I had more, just being in the moment and having gratitude for what I currently have. Even though, yeah, I want to be able to do more, get a bigger cup. But you can't have a bigger cup if you're not appreciative of what you already have now. You can't, you're not accepting of it. So once you figure out what your passion is, what you want to do, which is part of your why, how does it make you feel? And then go to sleep with that feeling. See, when we go to sleep, conscious is asleep, our subconscious is still wide awake and it's still working, it's still doing things. So if you do this, you should, when you wake up in the morning, feel good. You're probably going to have a different type of dream than normally. If you can remember your dreams, try to remember your dreams, because you're putting yourself in dream mode during this right before you go to sleep. And then when you wake up in the morning, remember what you thought about before you went to sleep, first thing in the morning, so that you're not waking up, oh, what an attitude, you're grumpy, I need my cup of coffee just to get the day started. You're waking up with natural energy. It's like every day is like Christmas. I can't wait to see what new adventures, what new things is going to happen today. Things go my way. That's how you want to be thinking. But when you're first doing it for the first time, it's only going to last for a very short time. And then reality sets in. You know what I mean? You get out of dream mode and reality gets back in. Go to job, reality's back in, the grind. But then at lunchtime, do it all over again. Think about that again. Force yourself to. The adult in you will tell you to stop all that nonsense. Stop living in the clouds. But force yourself to at lunchtime. And then do it again before you go to sleep. And if you do this on a consistent basis, they say 21 days to make a habit. You do that on a consistent basis, you're starting to change the brain patterns in your head, how you think, how you look at things, how you see things. And then it starts to become easier and easier and easier to do till your subconscious is doing it without you even thinking about it. That's the unconscious knowing. You don't have to be forcing yourself to do it. You do it automatically. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen. What is your why? I hope this helps anybody. Put it to action. I now made you aware that it exists. Now it's up to you to do something about it. And with that, I'm going to end it right there because I want you to do your exercise now because it's going on, 9 p.m. Eastern? Enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And I'll see you all on the 5-day challenge on Monday night. Bitcoin Brandon out. Bye-bye.